so I had to go back and line my mold because I forgot to do that. So this one is going to be limoncello, sparkling limoncello. I am going to use Yellow Mica from Brambleberry because it's a very nice bright yellow. And then I'm going to use Hot Pink from Micas, neon pink I mean, like by itself, because I want this like super bright. This is such a bright fragrance that I want the colors to reflect that. And again, my oils will go through a little bit of false trace. I have my cord tangled. It'll get thick, it'll look a little riced. I just kind of let it sit and it loosens up into a thin trace eventually. You can see how thick it is. Oop, don't do that. And again, forgot my gloves. Let me put those on. I always start mixing and then it hits me. Like when I stop to let the oils and lye kind of settle for a minute, I realized that I had left my gloves off. I just really, if you know of gloves that, you know, are not too long, like on the fingers, because I trail the fingertips into the batter. I have short fingers, and it bugs me. So I end up trailing it, and then I make a mess. I make a huge mess. So if you know of any gloves, let me know. I don't know if you can tell, but when I pick it up, you can kind of see like the graininess of the batter on the stick blender. Super thick looking, right? Looks like it's like at a pretty good trace. But because I soap at room temperature, my batter goes through false trace. If I were to like mix this up and pour it, like I would run the risk of my batter separating in the mold, and then I'd have to either trash it or figure out if it could be rebatched and saved. And that's just a waste of so much stuff, waste of ingredients. You can see it's starting to kind of loosen up and pour off the stick blender when I lift it up instead of just plopping off. I always remove the end of my stick blender if I need to sit it down, because you know that motor's heavy, and if you just kind of stick it in anything, it could fall over and make a mess. And I know this because I've done this. So I always take the end off and put it in something before I just lay it down, you know. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and separate my batter. I don't want a whole lot of yellow. I want a lot of the hot pink and just a little bit of the yellow, because I am debating a drop swirl or a butterfly swirl. I'm not quite sure what I want to do. If you haven't noticed, I a lot of times tend to decide things as I go. Usually I know kind of sort of what I want to do, but I may change my mind in the middle and decide, you know what, I think this color would look better, I think this technique would be better. And sometimes I just grab a fragrance and start going, and figure it out as I go along, decide what I want as I go along. And some of my favorite ones have been when I've just been like, oh, I don't know what I want, but I want this fragrance, and yeah, maybe these colors would look cool. Okay, so I want a good bit of hot pink, so I'm going to dump like all of this in there. And I am going to use my stick blender. I'm going to hand stir it for a minute, and then I'm going to use my stick blender, because the hot pink, I never get it like totally dissolved smooth like other micas do. I tend to get speckles with this one, and the stick blender kind of helps with that. Okay. So let me hook my stick blender back up. And I have my fragrance already measured out. I don't think I've actually made soap with this one before. I've used it in a lot of different stuff. I've used it in bath bombs and some scrub, and I've used it, I want to say I've used it in some solid bubble baths, some bubble scoops before. And I don't always remember to double check reviews to see if a fragrance, you know, is going to accelerate or not. So sometimes I go into this and have to change plans in the middle because it accelerates or it rises or both. I might try the little mini drop swirl. I think that could be pretty. So I'm going to grab one of my squeeze bottles, and I'm going to pour like basically almost all my yellow, if it'll all fit, into the squeeze bottle. Oops. How I feel about that. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead, and this is staying like really fluid, which is nice. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna turn it because I don't want to pour from where I poured it out from before. I don't want to get any uncolored soap in it. Okay, I'm going to try this. You know, this may not even turn out at all. This may not be anything great. But who knows? We'll see. I think I did a little more yellow than I should have. like I'm just pouring mustard. I'll pour this over the back of this spoon because I kind of just want like a layer of yellow. I think I'll let this kind of sit up, and I think I'm going to texture the top of it because this was not what I intended, but that's okay. We'll see how it looks tomorrow. And you know, like I was talking in the other video, so like I kind of changed my mind several times as I went with this one, but I don't think it's going to be what I intended. But at the same time, you know, nobody knows that. No one knows what I intended. I mean, y'all sort of do, because I've been videoing and talking, but like as far as my customers go, they don't know what I intended with this, and like if they think it's cool, then that's great. Like they don't know that, you know, oh, this one kind of flopped, it didn't turn out the way she wanted, it doesn't look right. Like nobody will know, so don't like stress about it. Don't worry that it doesn't turn out perfect, it doesn't turn out exactly the way you want, because I mean so many times nothing does. Like nothing turns out the way we want or the way we expect, but you still shouldn't, you know, keep from putting it out there just because you don't think that's what you wanted, or it's not, you know, what you intended, because it still has value even if it's not, you know, to your state, like perfect. It's not what you wanted, it's not perfect. It's almost nothing of mine turns out the way I intend. That's okay, because nobody knows. So while I'm waiting for this to set up enough to texture the top, I want to know, tell me, what is the best creative advice that someone has given you? Or what's the best advice concerning creativity that someone has ever given you? Or just, you know, what you've seen. Have you seen a quote somewhere that you felt really applied to your creative efforts, whether it's soap or baking or painting or macrame, like whatever it is you do that's creative? Like what was the best advice you've heard about that? I want to know.